Jeff Bezos and his family are mourning a major loss. Just weeks after the
Jeff Bezos may be one of the richest men in the world, but even he isn't untouchable when it comes to heartbreak. Just weeks after celebrating a brand new chapter in his life, tragedy struck his family in a way no one saw coming. The news shocked not only those closest to him, but millions of people who have followed his journey from the very beginning. Jeff Bezos may be one of the richest men in the world, but even he isn't untouchable when it comes to heartbreak. Just weeks after celebrating a brand new chapter in his life, tragedy struck his family in a way no one saw coming. The news shocked not only those closest to him, but millions of people who have followed his journey from the very beginning.
The foundation describes her last years as a quiet final chapter to a life that taught all of us, friends and family alike, the true meaning of grit and determination, kindness and service to others. Jeff also speaks out with a personal message honoring his mother, who had him when she and then husband Ted Jorgensen were teenagers in New Mexico. They divorced and she later married her husband Miguel Mike Bezos and welcomed children Mark and Christina. Miguel also legally adopted Jeff, who writes of his mother on Instagram.
Determination and kindness she had carried throughout her entire life. But this was more than just the end of a battle with illness, it was the closing of a story that shaped one of the most influential families in the world. On August 14th, inside her Miami home, Jeff's mother, Jackie Bezos, passed away at the age of 78. For the last 5 years, she had been battling a difficult condition known as Lewy body dementia, a disease that slowly robs a person of their memory, movement, and independence. The family revealed that she died peacefully, surrounded by love. The Bezos Family Foundation described her final years as a quiet chapter, one that reflected the same grit, determination, and kindness she had carried throughout her entire life. But Jackie's story wasn't defined by her final years, it was built on a foundation of strength that started decades earlier. Just a teenager, Jackie found herself raising her son, Jeff, in Albuquerque, New Mexico. She was barely out of high school when she stepped into motherhood, but instead of letting challenges define her, she pushed forward with unshakable resilience. Friends and family recall her as determined, fiercely protective, and willing to sacrifice anything to give her son a better life. Those early years were far from easy, but Jackie never allowed circumstances to dictate her future. Every obstacle only fueled her persistence, and what came next would not only change her life, but ultimately set the stage for the rise of one of the world's most powerful entrepreneurs. Those early years were far from easy, but Jackie never allowed circumstances to dictate her future. Every obstacle only fueled her persistence, and what came next would not only change her life, but ultimately set the stage for the rise of one of the world's most powerful entrepreneurs. After her divorce from Jeff's biological father, Jackie eventually found love again with a man named Miguel, or as the world would come to know him, Mike Bezos. Mike not only became her life partner, but he also embraced the role of father to Jeff, legally adopting him and giving the young boy his last name. Together, Jackie and Mike built a home filled with discipline, love, and opportunity, a foundation that would influence Jeff's drive and ambition later in life. Their family grew with the arrival of Jeff's younger siblings, Mark and Christina, creating a tight-knit household where education and hard work were the unshakable values. Jackie wasn't just a mother, she was the glue that held everything together. She encouraged curiosity, pushed her children to think beyond the ordinary, and instilled in them the belief that setbacks were never the end of the road. It was this environment, crafted by Jackie and Mike, that shaped the Bezos family legacy. But Jeff himself would later make sure the world understood just how much of his success could be traced back to the quiet strength of his mother. It was this environment, crafted by Jackie and Mike, that shaped the Bezos family legacy. But Jeff himself would later make sure the world understood just how much of his success could be traced back to the quiet strength of his mother. Shortly after her passing, Jeff shared a deeply personal message online, a rare moment where one of the most private men on earth let the world see his grief. In a post filled with emotion, he wrote about the long fight with dementia that his mother endured, and how she spent her final moments surrounded by family. "I know she felt our love in those final moments," he said. "We were all so lucky to be in her life. I hold her safe in my heart forever." It wasn't a statement crafted for the media. It wasn't about business or reputation. It was the raw voice of a son mourning his mother. For someone who has built a global empire and lives under constant scrutiny, this glimpse of vulnerability reminded people that behind the headlines and the billions, Jeff Bezos is human too. But Jeff wasn't the only one honoring her legacy. Others close to the family also stepped forward to share what Jackie meant to them. Others close to the family also stepped forward to share what Jackie meant to them. The Bezos Family Foundation, which Jackie helped build, released a statement that painted a clear picture of the values she stood for. They described her as a woman who lived a life of grit, kindness, and service to others. And those weren't just empty words. Her work with the foundation left an impact that continues to ripple far beyond her own family. One of the programs closest to her heart was the Bezos Scholars Program, an initiative designed to give young leaders opportunities to expand their education and create meaningful change in their communities. For Jackie, it wasn't about wealth or recognition. It was about using the family's resources to open doors for others, especially those who might not otherwise have had the chance. When news of her passing was shared through the Scholars Program, tributes poured in from students, alumni, and educators who had been touched by her commitment to education and empowerment. For them, Jackie wasn't just Jeff Bezos' mother. She was a figure of inspiration, someone who believed in the potential of young people and fought to give them a platform. And while her foundation carried her values into the world inside her own family, there was another voice of support that spoke volumes. Just weeks earlier, Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez had celebrated their wedding in Italy, a moment that symbolized joy and new beginnings. But when tragedy struck, Lauren was right by his side. After the Bezos Scholars Program announced Jackie's passing, Lauren quietly shared the post to her own Instagram story, adding only a broken heart emoji. It was a small gesture, but one that spoke louder than words. In moments of grief, public displays of love aren't always about long messages or carefully written tributes. Sometimes, the simplest expression of heartbreak can reveal just how deeply someone is standing with you. For Jeff, it showed that even in the middle of unimaginable loss, he wasn't facing it alone. But Jackie's legacy stretched far beyond family posts and statements online. Her life story carries lessons that continue to resonate, even with people who never knew her personally. Her life story carries lessons that continue to resonate, even with people who never knew her personally. Behind the global headlines about Amazon, rocket launches, and billion-dollar fortunes, there was always Jackie, the woman who quietly shaped the foundation of it all. While Jeff was building one of the world's largest companies, Jackie was building something just as powerful, a family rooted in compassion, resilience, and the belief that anything was possible with hard work. Friends often described her as someone who gave more than she ever asked for, a person who led with kindness even when life wasn't kind to her. And in many ways, her journey is the untold story behind Jeff Bezos' success. She wasn't the one standing in front of cameras or making history on Wall Street, but she was the force of stability and strength that made it possible. Even after her passing, the values she lived by continued to ripple outward through the foundation she helped lead, through the children she raised, and through every person whose life she touched with her generosity. Jackie's story is a reminder that legacies aren't always measured in wealth or titles. They're measured in the impact we leave behind. And that's why, even though she is gone, Jackie Bezos' influence will be felt for generations to come.